Welcome. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls of all ages, to episode 193 of A Play On. I had a coughing fit.
Oh, yeah.
Literally. Right
Just start that over again. That's okay.
I muted myself and I was like, oh, God.
You were so quiet when you came in. I was like, what happened to him? Did you run away?
That's because I was honestly not sure if my voice was going to start or not.
It's like, what just happened?
No, I choked on some spit and went into a full-on gag cough.
Welcome.
All right,
welcome.
I know. I was like, God, please.
Jesus.
All right, that's better. Now I know my voice will actually come in.
Whenever you're ready.
Use the Force, Luke.
Live long and prosper.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Shut up and take my money.
I grab Thar's hammer. What a saving.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Winter is coming. You're a wizard, Harry.
Stay a while and listen.
Hey, old Kermit the Frog here.
Your ties are cool.
So say we all.
This is A Play On Nerds.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and of all ages, to another very special episode of A Play On Nerds. As always, I'm Steve. This other guy is
Jarman.
And we're gonna talk about some stuff.
Yeah, we are.
But we don't even know what kind of stuff yet, because we're bringing back our old faithful Nerd Roll of Fortune.
Not 4chan, but Fortune. Just making that clear.
Is there music?
Oh, well, there would be music if we were jumping into it right now.
Oh, well, I just thought it'd be a fun musical cue there, but... Roll of Fortune! That's later.
That's later. Teasing you now, but it's later.
That's how the pros do it. We're like shock jocks. I want sound effects all the time. Yeah, just like that. But before we get to Nerd Roll of Fortune and what we talk about we don't know, Jarman, what have you been up to since the last time we recorded?
I had an eventful couple weeks there. I was finishing an audiobook, a great one where a woman falls in love with a dragon. He's a shifter, so he shifts from human form into a dragon, and I get to play all the male parts like usual. Good times. And then I went to see the local stage production here of the official show of Moulin Rouge that's in town here at the Disney Theater, Dr. Phillips Center. It was fantastic. Got tickets from my aunt. She was so sweet. For my birthday present, me and Jolie got to go, and we were so close to the actors. You could see them spitting while they were singing. It was awesome. But the new version of Moulin Rouge on stage is awesome because they do more modern songs they've added into it. And so they're going in and out of all these modern songs that make sense of the context of the story. And it was great. Fantastic singers. But then I was going to go to the Ren Fair, and my buddy Josh, who I used to live with a long while back now, he said he was available and he'd love to go with me and Jolie with him and his girlfriend. And I was like, cool. But then he texted me later that night. He's like, actually, I think I want to propose to her. I was like, at the Ren Fair? That'd be great. He's like, well, actually, she's told me in the past that she would never want to be proposed to in front of a lot of people. So maybe before we leave. And I said, but aren't we carpooling from my house? Does that mean you want to propose to her at my house? And he's like, yeah, she's never been to my house before. And he's never even been to my new house before. So they come over and we plan this thing. We're going to fake taking pictures of each other. So he takes a picture of me and Jolie, and I get her camera for her phone, and I'm putting it on video instead of a picture. And he pretends to drop his keys. He's like, oh, sorry. He drops his keys, goes down, and then he starts to propose to her. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if it was me, I wouldn't want to be proposed to in some stranger's house. But she was overjoyed, and she accepted. She said yes, right in our living room.
Oh, he went through with it.
Oh,
man,
he went through with it.
Told me about this. I was like, someone's going to talk him out of this, right?
No, I think she liked it too. And plus, they're both like my age now, and he's been married before. And I'm not sure if she has or not. I couldn't remember if she said she had. But it's kind of like less important about how crazy the proposal is, more of just like surprise.
Yeah, it's true.
And so after that, we got to, get down from the excitement. We toasted some champagne, and then we got in the car and we went to the Ren Fair and stayed the night near where the Ren Fair is at this Airbnb that was nearby. and played board games late into the night. It was just a whole lot of fun. And they seemed super happy. So I'm really happy for them. But yeah, that was an experience. I was not expecting that all to go down that weekend, but it did. It was a lot of fun. What about you, Steve? What have you been up to?
Well, this past weekend, we took it upon ourselves. So it was beautiful outside. We've had some nice weather. So we took the kids down to a park, and I went to the hardware store and picked up stuff. And then we came home and we did a bunch of little projects around the house.
Lovely. What a domesticated
including
thing.
Had to scrape a little bit of the ceiling. We had a small leak right by our chimney that we had to have someone come fix. And it just, the paint looked yucky up there. So I finally went and scraped and sanded and painted over it, installed a latch, fixed our doorknob.
Nice.
We have these really old school antique doorknobs that are probably original to the house, which is cool. But it's the sort of thing where like, this one little screw came loose and now the doorknob came off. Like that kind of crap. It's like, God.
We have those in our house too,
that.
like this 1920s house, and like the original doorknobs I think are there, but they painted over them so many times, like a lot of landlords do. So it's just, they look like crap now.
Yeah. And the only other thing is we went and we got our taxes done.
Hey, nice.
And all 3 were accepted. So that's good.
Lovely. And hopefully it didn't turn out too bad for you.
Not as bad as I thought.
That's good. That's good.
Is I think the answer there.
I'm putting them off as long as possible. So that's good.
No, dude, take care of it. That's my best advice. Like I get it done as early as is feasible.
Well,
and then I'm just done. And everyone else panics and I get to be done.
Well, that's the thing. I used to do them like January 1st because I worked for a big company when I was at CNN. So I was just like, oh, easy peasy. Put my information. I get a return. Cool. But now it's like I have to compile all this information and I always will owe money as opposed to getting paid money. So I'm never looking forward to it.
Right, because you're an independent contractor.
Exactly. And I should be paying in throughout the year.
You work for yourself-ish. Yeah.
And so I'm trying to learn how to pay throughout the year and figure that out as now I'm making more money, but it's complicated. So I'll get there eventually. But you had a complicated year too, because all the moving and the buying and all that
stuff. Bought the house, bought a car, cashed out a bunch of stock to move, California return, Pennsylvania return, federal return.
Oof, that's a lot.
Dividends and all sorts of weird stuff.
I always love the joke they tell about American taxes because it's basically like, oh, you owe us money. Well, how much? Oh, no, you have to figure that out. Okay, I think I figured.
You don't know? Oh, no, we know. And if you get it wrong, you're going to jail.
All right, okay, I'll pay you this much. It says I owe this much.
I'll guess.
No, you guessed wrong. You have to pay us more. Well, why don't you just tell me how much I owe in the first place? It's really stupid.
Okay.
But also, I'm looking for a house right now. We're trying to find out someplace bigger to move because we think about maybe having kids soon and that kind of thing. And we need to move to a bigger spot. So we're rental shopping and prices are crazy. So that's kind of been on the plate as well. But I think that takes us to some nerdy news.
It's time for Nerdy News.
All right, so my silly name for this story is Doomsday. It's a pucka happening? ? So some people might have heard of this thing called the Doomsday Clock. That's been around for a long time. It's apparently run by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, and they basically release this every year. Apparently it's been going on since the 1947. Back during the Cold War, they had the clock set at 17 minutes to midnight, meaning they jumped it ahead pretty far during the Cold War because of the dangers of nuclear war possibly happening. But in the past few years, it's even decreased more dramatically. And this year they've released that it's as the same as last year. We're at 90 seconds to midnight, according to the Doomsday Clock. So thankfully it is the same as last year, but that's not really saying much because that's really low already. And we just switched out other problems with different ones. So, which is not good. And they're citing the reason for that is the nuclear threat with Russia's war with Ukraine and basically NATO kind of not knowing what to do with Russia right now. And then the current war in Gaza and no one in the Middle East knowing what to do with that right now, or even the U.S. doing weird things. No one's liking anyone's reaction to that. Climate-related disasters, and the newest one that kind of started last year or the year before, which was the danger of artificial intelligence, which is continuing to grow. But they just released, it's 90 seconds now still, which is not good. Any thoughts on that, Steve?
Like I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords.
As long as we don't have a nuclear apocalypse first.
See, I don't know. We've always had big problems. And they're always the worst problems anyone's ever seen.
I think what
like
someone
humanity.
put it best.
It's always the worst thing we've ever seen. Always.
I just saw a guy on Colbert the other night, and he's an expert in AI and trying to explain the dangers of AI. And he said, if you look at a perspective, because Colbert asked him that, he's like, people always say every generation, this is the worst it's been. So is this really the worst it's been? And he says, yes. He goes, why do you say that? He says, think about the 1300s, 1400s. You could basically have the same technology, teach your kids the same skills, and they would still be applicable almost 100 years in the future. Basic farming, using of bows and arrows and swords and just learning how to do basic technology that was slowly growing over hundreds of years. He said the problem now is that the technology and skills we teach our kids now will be almost completely irrelevant in 100 years. He said that's very different than any other part of our entire history as a human species. And I was like, oh, that really does kind of put it in perspective, because things are changing so fast that we can't even keep up with the previous generation, let alone 100 years. So it is kind of scary in that regard that we have no idea what our future is going to look like in 100 years because it's changing so fast. And that's kind of crazy. I don't know. Puts a perspective on it.
I don't know.
You're not worried about it?
Hell's door. Look, dude, there's too many things. No, I mean, that's the thing. There's too many things to worry about. And so that if you really start looking and really start worrying, you will not live your life.
Oh, I agree with that entirely. Yes.
And so that's one of those things where, like, I got 2 kids to worry about. Mm-hmm. I can't do anything specific about the war in Ukraine aside from vote for politicians that I believe in.
Right.
You know, that's what's within my power. So that's what I do. I can't do anything about Russia. I vote for politicians I believe in because that's what's within my power and that's what I can do. Otherwise, I don't try to control things outside of my power.
Or worry about them all the time. It's like,
yeah. And AI is friggin' cool. I got, I actually spent money to get a subscription to ChatGPT because I have never had such a great time generating art for my D&D group.
Oh, the ChatGPT does art too? I thought it was just for talking stuff.
Well, ChatGPT is like the main one, but then they have all of these other AIs that people have built over it, including ones they sponsor. And the ones that I use are, let's see, Dolly, and then there's one called Image Generator.
Oh, and Midjourney,
which are both kind of good for different. Both of them are kind of good for different things.
Yeah.
But some of the art that they've come out with, especially with me doing my Toyland campaign, is just incredible.
I know it's just unfortunate the way that it was kind of generated, which they kind of just no one can do anything about now, was it conglomerates pre-existing art that's already on the internet. And a lot of times you can even see like someone's watermark that's like mixed in with the image because it's basically stealing artwork from other people without their permission and amalgamating it into other art. And so it's like, that sucks that they did, but they now it's completely out of our control because it moves so fast. We had no control over that, and they're not going to be able to fix that or make it so they can protect the artists. It's just, they're screwed because it's not like it's creating it out of nothing. It's creating it by using existing artwork. So it's like, oh, yeah, that sucks.
But once again, here's my argument against that. And then that's only a matter of time, by the way, until that's fixed. I would contend that most art and most creative process is not original. People rehash the same stories over and over again in a new order and call it a new thing.
Same thing with
when
music.
Really it was Shakespeare. Same thing with music. There's very few sets of notes that haven't been played yet.
It's all derivative of something. True.
The same 4 chords generate 85% of pop music.
I've seen that comedy video.
Yes, I understand the point that it is pulling direct images because that is what a computer knows to do. A computer can't abstract that. But to say that it is not creating original content because of that is incorrect. And it's only a matter of time until they train these algorithms well enough that they know to be derivative enough to make it original.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of scary and true at the same time.
And tweak it at least 15%.
Oh, and it's tweaked enough
That's
already.
all.
It's just a matter of like it created things based off of the work of others. But like you said, that's what kind of all art is.
But here, do you have your phone near you?
Yeah.
We're going to play a little bit here. I'm going to send you an image.
Okay.
And this was a puppet, a Jim Henson style puppet in a desert wasteland with a burning puppet theater behind it. It's amazing. I did some other wasteland puppets as well.
It looks very...
That all came out incredible.
Yeah, it looks like it's an official image from something.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And because I'm doing this weird setting for my new campaign, it's the only way that I can have art like this.
Because otherwise it doesn't exist. Or that's the thing, is that in the past, you'd have to hire someone to make that art. And now they're saying, well, now they're losing those jobs because AI can just do it for me. Why would I hire somebody for this?
But here's the thing. I wouldn't hire someone to make that art.
Right.
That's what I think they're underestimating. I wouldn't. I would draw it and it would be shitty and my players would deal with it. Which is what I've done up to this point.
Right.
So, no, I wouldn't have paid someone. And in fact, I'm paying some people at Chat GPT now.
Just different kind of people to do it.
Like, just different people to do it. Exactly.
It's a complicated issue. And I don't think anyone's in the wrong I just think it is scary how fast it's moving and we don't know where it's going to go as far as what the job market will look like for artistic individuals, voice acting as well as being screwed over by a lot of this. And so it's tough. It's not really cut and dry and clear on either direction. No one's evil for using it. No one's great for not using it. You know, it's like there's no one on a high horse here for not using AI. It's like, it's going to be a part of the future, period. So how do we make that ethical and cool and make it work with our society and not eliminate all creative people, you know, because that would suck.
Well, here's the thing. It's not going to be the elimination of creative people, but the reality is that if between AI and robotics, we replace most jobs, then we have to start talking about something like, universal income.
I mean, yeah, that's the hope, but
that's the reality because otherwise there's not going to be anyone left to buy their stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like,
yeah.
Or will the richest get richer and there'll be just a huge poor class that has nothing because all their jobs are taken away?
And if that's the way it goes, that's fine because those situations always topple.
Off with their heads.
Always topple against the rich. Exactly.
Eventually we'll do that. We'll be part of it. The revolution.
Probably not us. Maybe our kids are theirs.
That's true. Hopefully not. Anyways, not to get depressing, but doomsday. It's a pocket happening eventually.
And apocalypse puppets.
That's right. Appropriate. And that brings us to our main segment, some nerd roll of fortune.
Roll of fortune.
Yeah. So if you don't know, folks, speaking of AI, this is where we had ChatGPT in more of its earlier days there to make us a list of nerdy topics to talk about. And we don't know what we're going to talk about ahead of time. You will know because it's in the title of the episode. But we'll have 20 different categories, and then we'll roll another dice to see what mini topic in that category we will talk about. And we'll go down the line. And we
start by rolling one die to see how many of these we're going to do.
That's right.
I can't remember if it's a D4 or a D6. I can't remember what we did.
I think a D6. And if it gets higher than 4, then we do
just rapid fire.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to roll the D6. It's a 3.
All right,
nice,
perfect.
Even episode.
Right down the middle. All right, so I guess you rolled that one. I'll roll the D20 first. Here we go.
And I've got my D10 ready.
All right, got 2 TV show genres. One we haven't even touched before. Okay.
And I'm going to roll, and we've got 8.
That's going to be sitcoms. Examples given: How I Met Your Mother, Parks and Recreation, The Big Bang Theory. But I think we know what sitcoms are. Yeah.
See, but I already disagree with that premise. I would not put Parks and Rec as a sitcom.
I agree. That is not a sitcom.
Because there is more overarching plot. There's no single shot camera crap.
Well, it's a Parks and Rec is a single cam show, what they call it, because multicam is your
not
typical
single shot.
Right. but single cam. But yeah, totally. Yeah, that's not a sitcom at all. I think it's a comedic show, but it's not a sitcom.
But with that being said, you and I grew up in the age of sitcoms.
Absolutely.
When they were at their highest. Things like Seinfeld and Family Matters and Who's the Boss and Home Improvement that I watch with my dad every week.
Oh, we watched Home Improvement all the time. And yeah, Tim Allen turned out to be a MAGA Republican, but anyways. Oh my God. Yeah. And TGI Fridays. Do you remember TGI Fridays?
TGIF. Yeah. Because it's Step by Step and Family Matters and Full House.
Clarissa Explains It All.
Jim Henson's Dinosaurs was on there for a little bit on TGIF.
That's probably how I saw it.
But yeah, like it's, I don't know. It's an art form I don't care for anymore.
Well,
like,
somewhere along the line,
really hate Big Bang, and I really hate How I Met Your Mother because it just feels weird now.
Yeah, unless it's a show I was nostalgic for, and I'm used to hearing those lines with that laugh track from my childhood. Like I can go back and watch Seinfeld now, and I'm fine with it because, like, for some reason, it just works. But then now, if I watch a show with a laugh track, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, there's people laughing out there. That's weird. It just feels wrong. And
yeah, I feel like TV evolved past it, and
Mhm.
some people just decided to stay.
Yeah, or trying to keep it alive. Like the How I Met Your Father came out, because I watched all of How I Met Your Mother. It's probably the last laugh track show I really loved was How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
I watched the whole thing while I was living in Atlanta by myself, and I was around the same age as the people in the show. I was like, this is cool, I like it. But then How I Met Your Father came out recently, the sequel series starring what's her face? I can't remember her name.
Hilary Duff.
Hilary Duff, yeah. Lizzie McGuire. And it has the laugh track, and it just feels totally stilted. I do legitimately think the writing was terrible on the show. Another reason why it just doesn't work. But like, I don't believe the audience is laughing that hard at the thing she's doing. I think it must be just a laugh track, and there's not really an audience there because it was terrible. But it just feels...
they haven't used live studio audiences in 15 years.
Is that true?
Yeah, live studio audiences aren't really a thing anymore.
They had it for Big
Plus,
Bang
think
Theory.
about how much, but think about how many of these shows were produced in like post, like during and post COVID time.
Yeah. I wonder like how
like,
they
just didn't bring people together like that.
How do they judge like when to stop their lines for like the fake laughter? That maybe they play the fake laughter while they're acting. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, I love sitcoms for what they were because it was like watching a live play on stage from like home. You're like they're telling you when to laugh with the laugh tracks, but it's just like, I don't know what killed it. What was the killing blow to that format? I think The Office, probably. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when you think about, you're not 100% wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that it was probably all The Office. I would say that it was also the emergence of, or I guess the reemergence of the like crime drama procedural that also spilled into medical with things like House and all the Law and Order SVUs. And so even those shows, which before had live studio audiences for some of them, were gone.
Yeah, because you had shows like we mentioned earlier we were recording Muppet Trailer tonight, which was like Kojak and Columbo. Those were all no audience. Those have been around since like, the 60s, 70s, and Mission Impossible and all this. Like, it's like they never tried to make like a comedy show, it seems, in that format. It was always a sitcom format. And so
right. And so I think that it's just
I'm hard pressed to think of like a comedic show that didn't have an audience that was filmed that way before The Office, but I'm sure there was. I can't remember any that were like that.
That's the thing. I don't want to say 100% that they weren't. And here's what I will say. I think they haven't really used live studio audiences in the UK for a hot minute. And I feel like UK comedy is always one step ahead.
Why The Office was there
and
first.
In that regard, then The Office also fits into that picture.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that. They were kind of pioneering in that sense. I guess there was Get Smart, which was a comedy show that was no audience.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
That took production in that, like, he had a lot of gadgets and gags and specific camera shots that had to be set up. And
yeah, and Gilligan's Island, I think, had a laugh track. It must have been in front of an audience, but I don't know. It was on an island. So I don't know how that works. It's all said, I guess, but that's weird. Huh.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, sitcoms, they have their place. You know, Friends will always be a classic. Seinfeld will always be a classic. They'll be the things of my childhood, but like most things from back then, I don't care for them anymore.
Not new versions of them, yeah. I can watch the old stuff still, but yeah, doesn't work. Well, first D20 for you, sir.
Ooh, okay. D20.
And make that one
all right, big money.
Oops.
2. Was that the one we just did?
Yes, you want to do a different one?
Yeah, different one. 9.
9. That would be science fiction and fantasy literature.
Ooh.
I'll roll that D10.
That D10.
That is
I feel like we've
8.
done 1 or 2 in this category.
Oh my gosh, this fits so perfectly with what we just talked about. Number 8, post-apocalyptic fiction, surviving the end of the world.
Ah, bam, 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 bam.
This is a scary theme we're pulling out here tonight. So I can't say I've read a lot of post-apocalyptic fiction. Have you?
I've read World War Z, and I've read The Road. I've read Stephen King's It.
Oh, you read The Road? That's dark stuff, man.
Yeah, The Road is rough. And so I've read not It, The Stand. There we go.
It's
The
not
Stand.
post-apocalyptic, but The Stand.
Yeah, no. Another long Stephen King. I've read The Stand. So I've read a fair deal, but the one that I'm going to talk about, and I want to see if I can find it, because it was a free book that I got off of, I don't know, like the Apple bookstore back in the day that had a free book section. And it was called The Island, and there's 1,000 books that name, so it's going to be impossible to find. But it was basically about this guy who's like, if I remember correctly, like kind of like a washed up drunk who lives on a boat, and the world comes to an end by demons showing up.
Oh,
killing everybody, and him and a series of survivors make it to an island, and it's about them not only facing the realities of like survival, but then them also dealing with the rumors of the demons, because no one really knows this has happened. And then the demons turning out to be real, and for some reason they're after this guy. And it's just it was really interesting, had a lot of very good elements, the post-apocalyptic element, survival, a lot of like good real survival stuff talked about in there. And then the plus paranormal, plus the mystery of like, why the hell are they after this guy? Why are the demons that are destroying the world after William? You know?
Yeah, this one guy.
So I'll put an endorsement for it and see if I can find it. Can you think of any books that you've read?
Well, I was like, but that reminds me of how like these random books we happen to find and read are can be really good sometimes. Cause like I was randomly staying on vacation with my parents in Jamaica when I was like 15, I think, or 13 maybe. And we were staying at this like kind of like common use house, basically, where there was like a little library there. And I just picked out this book, and it was an alternate history of if the Nazis had won World War II. And so kind of post-apocalyptic, you know, in the sense that they were probably going to destroy everything because they're terrible. And I read it, the whole thing, because I don't like going out in the sun. So like my whole family was going out and doing fun things. I just sat there and read the book the whole time, and I finished it, and I was just like, oh, that was great. And it was all this alternate history about that. I can't remember too much about it now, and then also I read I Am Legend when I was probably in school.
I've also read I Am Legend. There's another good one.
Yeah, and I forgot about that entirely. And I remember loving that book, and then hearing about when I was a kid, because I read it when I was like in early high school or late middle school, and it was really good with the vampires and everything. And then I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to star in it, and I was like, well, that's a little over the top because it's a pretty serious book, but okay. Because they made a movie about it called Omega Man with Charlton Heston, but they had changed a lot. It wasn't really the same kind of thing, and so that never happened eventually. And then, of course, we get the Will Smith movie, which was fine, but it was very different from the book. The book was super cool in that, you know, he was the main character that Will Smith plays. He was actually this nightmare that the vampires would tell their children about. You know, look like
he was the legend.
Yeah. Like basically the way we talk about vampires, they talk about this mythical human person that goes around killing vampires, because they were all sentient. They could talk. They had societies. but he was pissed off because the vampires had killed his whole family when the vampires kind of ended the world and took over. But now vampires had a society and they live with each other, and but he wanted to take them all out. So he was the legend. He was the one that killed people, and he wasn't necessarily the good guy.
He was the boogeyman.
Yeah, he's the boogeyman. And he had his dog, and that was like his thing. And so, yeah, the movie made him much more sympathetic. The vampires are all monstrous, and you find out towards the end that they're not as monstrous as you thought.
The movie, in the book, I think he like tries to become friends with the dog and tries to coax it in with food. And he maybe pets it once and then it goes and never comes back again, if I remember correctly.
Something like that. It's not a happy thing.
It's not a happy dog experience in the book, really.
I forgot about that.
Also, I love that in the book, he's not a military scientist or geneticist. He's a factory worker. He is a dude. He's just a guy.
Joe Sixpack.
Yeah. So yeah, I loved that aspect of the book after I read it more than the movie.
Yeah, it was a good book, very much so.
I found the guy The Island by Michael R. Stark.
Huh.
I can only find it available in ebook on Amazon, but I recommend it to anyone who wants a good, I don't even know, demon-filled, scary, post-apocalyptic survival book. The Island by Michael R. Stark.
And it sounds like it's nothing to do with the movie The Island with Ewan McGregor and I think Scarlett Johansson.
No, not even a little bit.
Completely different. All right. Well, we got one more roll here.
All right. You're on the D20. I'm on the D10.
Yep. And I rolled a 6. What is a 6? Movie franchises recast. All right.
And I rolled a 9.
Ooh, the X-Men franchise. We have to recast.
Hey, this is prescient right now.
It is. It's kind of happening as we speak.
Let's see. X-Men. I got to pull them up.
Yeah,
Figure out who we
our
care
roster?
about.
Main X-Men.
Okay. Let's just start with the big one. Let's start with the big ones. Wolverine.
Yes.
I don't know. Taron Egerton would be fine. Daniel Radcliffe would be fine. I know there's rumors they're going to be in Deadpool playing alternate Wolverines or something.
Right.
Who knows? But I think they would both be perfectly good choices.
I'm for an unknown, just like Hugh Jackman was. I think he had been in one movie or two that were actually popular in the U.S. and he was like kind of a nobody, and they just casted him and he was perfect. So I think and also I like the idea of casting a short person like he is in the comics. He's short and stout and he's like scrappy. He's not this, tall giant that eventually Hugh Jackman became, because he got so buff. But yeah, like back in the day, the guy who played Mario in the movie, what was his name? Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins.
He was originally set because they started rumors of it so long ago, back when The Next Generation was on the air, and that's when they first started talking about Patrick Stewart playing Xavier, and Bob Hoskins was much younger back then, and they were saying he'd be like a more older, scrappy-looking Wolverine, because he was like in his 50s at that point, but he's dead now. But yeah, he was short, scrappy, and like angry, and I think he'd been a great Wolverine back in the day. There's my recap.
I can see it. I can definitely see it. Okay, you pick someone to recast now.
All right, Cyclops. I think you need somebody who's really earnest and kind of the white knight of the group. That's hard to say. You got so many young actors that are all in the MCU already.
Well, that is very true. They're all in the MCU.
And so many young actors I don't like these days.
I don't know enough male actors.
We can do a dream cast of any generation. That works.
Okay, here. I'm pulling up a list so I can at least look, because if I've got pictures in front of me, I'll be able to think about it. Timothy Chalamet. Get that bastard in there.
He's in everything now.
Just put him in everything.
Austin Butler.
Yeah, what about one of the Stranger Kids thing? So the kids from Stranger Things.
There you go.
Like Jim Patel, maybe.
Oh, you know
Not
what?
Finn Wolfhard. I'm kind of done with Finn Wolfhard.
Do blind race casting and get the kid who plays Jake. Is that his name?
Okay.
Stranger Things? Yeah. He's a good earnest kid.
Yeah, there we go. Bam. Just like that.
Perfect. We got it. How about Beast?
Just like that. Now we're done. Beast, I don't know. Kelsey Grammer really. Like, how do you do better than Kelsey Grammer for Beast?
Yeah, someone who's like that, who's very intellectual. You know who would also be good is that guy who plays the kind of the evil guy in Lost.
Benjamin Linus?
That actor played Benjamin Linus.
That actor?
He could
but he's like older. He's as old as Kelsey Grammer.
I know, this is magic casting where they could be any age. Doesn't matter.
What about Asa Butterfield?
Yeah, the kid who played Ender in Ender's Game.
Yeah, he's kind of off-putting, but intelligent and intellectual.
Yeah, kind of nerdy-ish. I like it. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Let's see. Who's next?
Let's do a female one here. So we got Jean Grey.
Storm. Oh, Jean Grey. Does it have to be a redhead?
They can always dye her hair.
Okay, fair.
No, I could see if you want to keep it redhead, Karen Gillan, but she's already in the MCU. But you don't see her face in the MCU. She's always blue all the time because she plays.
Let's see. I've literally now pulled up another list so I can just scroll down and find someone who I recognize. What about? That's terrible. Oh, that's just awful.
Oh, you know who I want for Jean Grey? I got it.
Tell me.
She was in Daredevil and True Blood and that movie Escape Room we watched.
The Whirl? What the hell's her name?
Oh, God. I'm forgetting her name. True Blood Redhead. This is going so well. Deborah Ann Woll. Deborah Ann Woll.
Yeah. I was close with the Whirl. Right?
Yeah. But she's a great actress. She's great at being angsty. I think she'd be perfect for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Like that, those are all, that's kind of perfect in that regard. You're not wrong. I'll just throw another one into the hat. Just get Lindsay Lohan in there.
Perfect.
I know. Okay, Storm.
I think I'm going to go with another unusual choice here, but she's in that show Shrinking, and she was also in The Daily Show. Jessica Williams.
Okay. I think know her.
She could do a great job in that, I think. And she's like, because she's got comedic chops too, so she could like keep up with the snarkiness of like.
I recognize her. Okay.
Yeah, I think she'd do a good job in that.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm. So she's the right age finally.
Yeah, true. It would also correct age casting for once.
We don't need to cast 19-year-olds in this, which is nice.
I know, and that's the worst part in all this. I'm like, we're thinking about recasting, so immediately my mind goes to reboot. So I'm like, we got to get young enough people that we can have them for a couple movies.
They can play it for 10 years.
Exactly. It's terrible that is how they have trained my brain to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What the hell's her name? Nah, she would be too. No, we're not playing Magic Age. The woman who played Poussey in Orange is the New Black.
Oh yeah, totally. She'd be great. And also the woman who plays the main character in Star Trek Discovery. She's really good. She was also
Orange is the New Black. Too. Samira Wiley. There we go. Samira Wiley.
Yes. But she was really good.
Yeah, let's get her.
Magneto, I already have one.
Okay, hit it.
Hear me out. So, Mandy Patinkin.
Okay, so we're clearly going for much older.
Well, he is older. He was supposed to be like a Holocaust survivor. I don't think that works anymore.
Once again, I'm not sure how young we're going here. There's like first class level. There's all sorts of things.
He's 71, so yeah, he's pretty old.
Okay, so Mandy Patinkin. Get on board with that. I guess it would really depend on who we cast as Charles Xavier.
That's true. Oh man,
older actors in their 60s. Let's see. Okay, so as Charles Xavier, I have Tom Hanks. Let's see. Who else would be good? Oh, this is all bad. Gary Oldman. I don't think he fits the role, but it would be classy as hell.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, what about Ralph Fiennes?
Yeah, here he did it as a Voldemort, so he could do the bald head there.
Just shave that head again. But Bryan Cranston, huh?
Oh, that's
Charles
true.
Xavier.
But is Charles Xavier supposed to be British?
What, Bryan Cranston?
No,
is Bryan Cranston British?
No, I'm saying Charles Xavier is supposed to be British.
I don't think he's British in the cartoon. I guess I never realized that he was supposed to be. All right, now hear me out. Hear me out. We bring him out of retirement. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, I mean, well, yes, he can play every role in the cast.
Intense Charles Xavier. Stanley Tucci's already bald.
Stanley Tucci's great. I go for that.
I don't think that would be a good casting at all, but yeah, we absolutely could. Okay, hear me out. If we're doing like dream recasting, get like Lawrence Fishburne in there.
Oh, he'd be a great Xavier. Yeah.
He would be a great Professor X. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I like it.
Or Giancarlo Esposito. He would be another great Professor X.
Giancarlo could do no wrong. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then just to top it off, get John Malkovich in there.
He's got to be a villain somehow.
I'm literally just looking down a list of male celebrities in their 60s and saying whoever makes me laugh the most. Okay, here's a real answer, though. Here's a real answer.
Okay.
Mark Strong.
I would say he was disappointed with his performance in the DC movies.
Okay, what about him for Magneto?
Yeah. Because they kind of have to get rid of the whole Holocaust survivor thing because it's too late for that now. If they're setting it in present day, it just won't work anymore. So yeah, that could work.
Okay.
But I was trying to find actors with a Southern accent, someone who could play Gambit.
Oh, okay.
And you know who's not Southern?
Here's the thing. Channing Tatum still needs his shot.
That's true.
Channing Tatum needs his shot to be Gambit.
I don't like him as an actor.
I think that he is very aware of who he is and the kind of roles he plays, and he embraces it, and I love him for it. He knows what he's there for. He's there to be eye candy and the big dummy, and he is fine with that.
The big dummy. Oh, I just saw Jude Law as Professor Xavier. That could work well. I'm saying.
Okay.
Or Pitbull.
Yeah, I could see that. What about J.K. Simmons?
I think he's too folksy to be
fucking buff, ripped ass Professor Xavier.
Charlie Hunnam. He could do the Gambit. He's not Southern, but he has that Southern accent in Kings of Anarchy. He's from England.
Oh, I know him now. Okay.
Yeah, he'd be a good Gambit.
Yeah, he'd be just about as understandable, so I guess that's fine.
It's going so well. We'll get one more person, and then we'll be done with this.
All right, hold on. I'm looking at X-Men. The last one we're going to recast is, we really talked about almost all of them. Jubilee.
Oh, she's like the fun one, right?
My exposure to Jubilee, she, I think, was invented just for the animated series, right? Because she is the character who we are learning about the world through. She's like a new mutant who just discovered her powers, doesn't understand them, ends up at Xavier's School for the Gifted because of it.
Right.
And I think she's typically portrayed as like young and like Asian or half Asian descent.
That I think they should just keep the person they had from the other X-Men, the new class people, because she's so young still and she did a good job, but I don't know who she is.
Yeah, because she was only in like, that much stuff.
Yeah, all the multiverse crap, pull her back in. She's fine.
Let's see. Let's just throw Lindsay Lohan in there just one more time.
And Colossus will have John Cena.
No, you know who I'm going to say should be it. The woman from, damn it, what the hell's her name? She was in Iron Fist. She played like his sidekick.
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she's in a lot of stuff. Comedic actress. She's kind of too old to be Jubilee, but she could work.
Jessica Henwick.
Oh, that's someone else then.
Yeah, Jessica Henwick.
Oh, she's from She was in Daredevil as well.
Game of Thrones as well.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Iron Fist. Sorry, Iron Fist. Yeah, I'm thinking
Iron
of
Fist and
I'm thinking of Shang-Chi. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, no.
Not that actress.
Not Aquafina.
Yeah,
no,
not
Aquafina.
Aquafina.
But yeah, Jessica Henwick
Yeah, she's great.
would be a fine jubilee.
So yeah, these recasts are fun, but it's difficult to think about it in the fly.
Oh yeah, like if I didn't pull up 2 giant lists of actors, I would have had nothing.
Mine just goes blank suddenly when you're trying to think about it. Oh man.
Well, thanks for joining us for Nerd Roll of Fortune. We love it because we don't even know what we're going to talk about. Keeps us on our toes.
That's right.
Now to bring us back down to the ground. Jarman, do you have any radical recommends?
I recommend.
If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
What do you recommend I do?
I recommend Pleasant.
All right. So as of right now, when we're recording this, in about a week, I will be leaving for Scotland, a week and a day. We're going on our honeymoon. For our wedding, we didn't do gifts. We did just people to donate to our honeymoon fund, which was amazing. People were so nice and donated. And so now we're finally going on it for 2 weeks, to like 16 days, actually a little over 2 weeks, to Scotland. And we both had never been there before, and we're very excited. We both have some Scottish bloodness, I believe. I'm mainly Welsh, but I think I have a little bit of Scottish in me. But we found this thing called Secret Scotland when we're doing our research to where we should go, because we want to do a road trip. We want to be able to drive around and not be, just stay in one city and be beholden to trains or something like that. So we're renting a car and we want to drive around, but we're like, where the hell do we go? We don't know what we're doing. So we found this website called Secret Scotland, and they have these PDFs you can purchase that have like road trip plans for all of Scotland. And this Scottish couple that made this company like over 10 years ago. And they have these incredibly the plan for our trip. You can go by the kind of places you want to go and how long you're going. And so I bought the one that was it was only like $30 to buy this huge giant plan, which also includes these long recommendations for every one of your stops for places they've stayed at. Bed and breakfasts, not Airbnbs, but actual bed and breakfasts. And so it has this 130-page detailed plan of where you're going to go and what places they recommend seeing. And there's so much in there that you don't have to do all of it, of course. You can just pick out and choose whatever you want to do along your route. And so it just made it so much more accessible. It gives tips about where the gas stations are, where like you should get money out here because you're going to be driving for a long time through nothing. So make sure you have snacks and food, like all these tips and things of what to do. And so we would have been kind of lost without this, or having to plan so much by ourselves and kind of shooting from the hip and not really knowing what we're doing. So if you're ever going to Scotland for any long period of time and you want to drive around, see the sights, I highly recommend checking out the website, Secret Scotland. It's just a mom and pop company that's done pretty well for themselves just doing this. And it's very affordable. It's like $30. And you can also pay a little extra, like $60 to $100 to make a more customized plan where you kind of tell them the kind of things you like and they'll make a customized plan just for you.
Okay.
But
that's pretty neat.
Yeah. We bought one of the generic ones. And so I'm just much less scared about going there now because now I have all my B&Bs booked for every single place we're going. And I loved calling the B&Bs on the phone because these delightful accents, this older lady's like, hello. And I was like, oh, hi. And I told her what was going on. She's like, just make sure, I can't do a Scottish accent. Just make sure that you tell me when you're going to arrive because I have to get my grandmother out of here first. And I was like, what? So apparently her old grandmother was going to be there and she wanted to make sure that she's out of the place before I arrive. But,
don't worry about it. She'll just sleep in the basement.
She'll sleep in the basement. I'm doing an Irish accent. But anyways.
Immediately.
Always Irish. But yeah, Secret Scotland. Highly recommend it if you're ever.
Oh, that's a cool one.
Yeah, it's pretty
deep
fun.
cut. Well, that takes us to trailer reviews. All right, so this week I chose the trailer, and I chose M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, The Watchers.
Produced by.
It seems to be produced by, but it's still his. When Spielberg produces a movie, it's from Steven Spielberg.
I guess so.
It's from M. Night Shyamalan. So it appears to be about a woman who wakes up and finds herself in a strange location with other people in some sort of large mirrored room. Supposedly at night, something or someone comes and looks at them through the mirror and watches them. and they can't see them. And who are these strangers? Why are they being held captive? What do they want? Will they escape? All big questions from the watchers.
And Shyamalan.
What are your impressions of the trailer we watched?
I think the premise is interesting. It kind of reminded me of like them being in a human zoo of sorts, like who's watching them, and they're just being performing for whatever audience is out there. And it's got one of the Fannings in it. I can never tell which one's which. It's Elle or Dakota Fanning, one of the two, is the star. And the other actress.
That's Dakota.
That's Dakota.
It's the older one.
Gotcha. So she's a good actress, and I like these kind of movies, creepy, one-off kind of horror movies. And but the one thing I really hate about the trailer is that they just couldn't leave it be, and they give us a glimpse of the creatures at the end. And I'm like, the whole tension, you even say with big letters on the screen, you can't see them. And then at the very end, they show part of them at the end. Like, what? So it kind of ruined the tension for me a little bit in the end there. I don't know. What'd you think?
I don't know. And I know M. Night's not directing, but it just feels like him. Because I remember I think in trailers like The Village, where you didn't have something on, you still got to see a little bit of the pig monster.
Did you?
In the trailer for Signs, you got to see the alien hand come out from under the door and grasp for him. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like that's going to necessarily be the make or break of the film for me, in that it could still be something completely different.
That's true. And
knowing M. Night and the people he would choose to work with and put behind the camera, I think we should expect more. Whether it's good or not is still a bet, but more.
Right. And you could tell from trailers a lot of times if the off the bat, if the writing is just terrible or the acting's bad. And I didn't get any of those vibes right off the bat. So I'm okay with it so far. I like these kind of movies. I love watching it. Whenever Jolie's out of the house, I always end up watching some horror movie by myself. I love that. So this might be one of them I watch. The Watchers.
Watchers.
So what do you give this one, Steve?
I'm going to give this one. Raul Julia wakes up. It's like a Sunday. He slept in a little bit. He stretches out and he opens his eyes, and Gary Busey has lined the whole side of his room with a bunch of mirrors, but not like a big mirror, like just a bunch of little mirrors. And Raul goes, Gary, why? Where did you get all these? Did you steal them? Gary's like, now. And then you can hear police sirens in the distance. And he goes, Gary. And Gary goes, yeah, right. I stole them. They're coming.
Now I just want a whole movie about where he got all those mirrors from.
And then what the police chase is going to be like, I think, is the second part.
With his coke-fueled rage from running away from the cops.
That's right.
My review for this film is Raul Julia getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He's got to take a pee, He looks at his face in the mirror and he's turns on the sink and splashes some water in his face and just like, I'm not sleeping so well. And then he turns the light off, and looking him right in the face through the mirror is Gary Busey with a light on behind the mirror, realizing that it's a one-way mirror, and Gary's watching him with his hand down his pants. Oh God, he sees me. You've been watching me this whole time, Gary.
My terrible secret.
Gary, I didn't know you felt that way. You could have just asked.
Wow.
Things
so like Bert and Ernie, this shit just turned romantic, huh?
That was the M. Night Shyamalan twist, is that
that is the twist.
Raul was into it the whole time. Oh God. So that brings us to the end of our wonderful episode. We hope you enjoyed it. What are we gonna be talking about next time, Steve?
Well, coming up in April, we finally get out of the slump of terrible movies. But before we do, there's one more. It's called Sting. It's about a little girl who befriends a spider who turns ginormous and goes on a murderous rampage.
Mm-hmm.
And in honor of that, I was looking at other spider movies, and there was one called Big Ass Spiders. And then there was another one, The Eight-Legged Freaks, with one of the Arquettes. And then I remembered a movie that came out not too long ago called Seven Guardians of the Tomb, made for Chinese audiences and starring Kelsey Grammer, about giant spiders. And I am so excited.
That's 2 times Kelsey Grammer Camp in this episode.
So, in honor of the movie Sting, we will be watching 7 Guardians of the Tomb.
You should watch it before we review it, folks. I know you
We
won't.
should. Everyone should watch it. But until then, come on back and be our nerdy audience, and we will come on back and be your nerdy co-hosts. Thanks again, Internet.
Stay nerdy, my friends.
Thanks for listening to A Play on Nerds. Feel free to email feedback at aplayonnerds.com with all your questions or comments.
Shoot us a message on Facebook or Twitter and earn yourself a sweet shout out on the show.
Review us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so even more nerds can find us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, we aren't picky.
Check out our entire back catalog and other offerings at aplayonnerds.com.
And how?